Hi, my name is Joshua Miguel. I'm 23 years old and I'm the creator of Hindsight. By the time you're watching this, it'll probably be my 24th birthday, so in celebration for another year of life, I decided to do something special for you guys. I've realized it's been almost a year now since I've been creating content online and posting all my articles up that I haven't even answered some of the questions that seems to be lingering in your minds. One of them is what is the reason for me doing all this? Well, to begin with, I always thought that writing has played a crucial part in my development as a child. I remembered being a kid in the 3rd grade and I would buy these notebooks that we were required to buy at school. So instead of writing math equations and science formulas, I would write all these stories that I made up inside my head. I would write for hours and hours, unaware of all the time that's already passed. For the first time in his life, that kid finally found something I was quite exceptionally good at. Those are one of the earliest experiences I had with the power of writing and how it can shape the way a person views the world. I started to think of myself as the main character of my own story, and all the things that happened before and after are just plot devices that pushed the narrative forward and serve a bigger purpose in the grander scheme of things, which is my life. Although a lot has changed since then, and quite frankly, I'm no longer that wide-eyed kid back in 3rd grade. I still carry bits of him inside of my mind. He's inside there, somewhere, waiting to burst forth and show to the world the stories that irrevocably captivated his heart. Now, fast forward a few years later, I started to create Hindsight, a blog that is dedicated to exploring the inner recesses of my soul and sharing all the answers that came out of my deep thought and self-reflection. Initially, the goal was to create one blog post every single month for the rest of the year. But as it turns out, in order for you to get your name out there in a world that constantly begs for your attention, you have to do it consistently enough so other people would notice. I wanted to tell stories that only I could tell because each and every one of us has a story to tell, whether we realize it or not. For we are all individuals with unique, complex, and different backgrounds. I remember this one friend of mine once said that a philosopher is basically just someone who looks upon his experiences, looks back on them, and shares them to the world. And in that sense, we are all philosophers. So, it is our duty to share to the world all the things we glean upon so that we can inspire others to do the same. For those of you who have been with me ever since my first ever blog post, Why Christianity is Not For Me, you would know that despite its shortcomings, I still chose to be a Christian at the end. Unfortunately though, in the real world, it's not as easy as that. You don't know what happens behind the scenes, and if you do, you would doubt if ever I'm worthy of sharing this message out into the world. There were many times that I caught myself red-handed in violating all the things that I wrote in my articles. And that saddens me, because how can I expect other people to believe in the things that I say if I myself don't believe in it wholeheartedly? I believe one of the worst things you could ever do for yourself is not be true to who you are. Not only do you lie to other people with a false image that is set before them, but you're also lying to yourself. And at the end of the day, how can you live with yourself? And how can you escape from yourself? As we all know, these past few months we are forced to stay isolated and cooped up in our own houses in order to stop the spread of this fatal disease. I took upon this opportunity to venture upon the things that my faith somehow previously held me back from. deciding to leave the shallow doctrines of my Christianity behind. In some sense, I want to portray the story of the prodigal son in our generation's context. Dirty, gritty, and realistic. While walking down this path, though, I found myself walking in those gray areas, straddling chaos on one side and order on the other side. However, while living my life in shades of gray, I've soon asked myself, how long can I keep one foot in the dark and one foot in the light? As with all things in life, you're either all in or not at all. There is no middle ground. You're either aiding the darkness or helping the light. Also, this period of quarantine made me realize that there is no us and them. Separating the sinners from the saints in an exercise in futility, because we are all one step away from being the worst person we're comparing ourselves to. Let us then be gracious and show mercy to each other and give the benefit of the doubt. Furthermore, what I figure out is this: without even the notion of God in your life, you find yourself being tossed and turned by the raging seas of the world, by the endless trends it perpetually feeds you. Learning that you have no anchor or something to keep you steady and firmly rooted to the ground. With that in mind, I started to crawl myself out of this wormhole that I got myself into. To be honest, as I'm recording this piece, I still found myself battling all the demons that I found under my bed and the consequences that come of all my life's choices. Although I'm in a much better headspace right now, for those of you who also come out of darkness, will also find that the first few rays of sunlight will always be blinding. While looking back on the things I've done, it seems to me that Christianity is more than just a relationship, but a worldview. It informs every decision you make on this earth. It gives you a new identity to quell the impulses of your former way of life. For who are you even, when you can't even tame the simple urges that wage war against your soul? You know, for some odd reason, I've always envied all the people who are able to do the things that I haven't done. But come to think of it, do I really need to experience those things in order for me to be truly happy? Do I need to be one with the crowd in order to make me feel fulfilled? We are a generation that settles for the last remaining embers of a flame in order to get pleasure. But when God intended us to experience the entire flame of the bonfire, not just the embers, but the entire flame itself, if you only would just wait for His time. We are then fools to trade the best for only the good. Despite all the things I've seen, I still believe without a doubt that there's still purity left in the world worth fighting for. There are far better ways to spend your 20s than sex, drinking, and partying. And by God's unending grace, may I no longer stray away from the path He has set before me. For how can we even expect to progress in life when we continue to push ourselves back on the starting line? We can always choose what narrative to follow along our journey. And at the end of the day, we can always choose to do what's right. Alright, for those of you who made it to the end of the video, I would like to say my sincerest thanks to all of you. Reading your comments give me like this ecstatic, and I can't even express it, kind of joy.
walk, right? Myla. Ulit yung sa last part.
And if you told me like a year back that many people would read my work and gain value from all the pieces that I've done, then I wouldn't even believe you. And yet here we are. Although I could say that I still want many people to read my work and many people to understand all the things that are running inside my head, but you gotta start somewhere, right? And just to give you guys an update, I'm planning on releasing articles, blog posts up until the end of the year. After that, we'll see where we'll go from there. And in the meantime, if this piece gave you value, if you enjoyed this piece, I suggest you give it a like. Comment down below if there is anything you want to discuss with me, want to talk about, and if ever you've felt the same way I did. And hey, if you're feeling generous, why not share it to your friends as well? It would help me out a lot. Thanks guys. Till next time. Dig deep, stay true.